Hi, fans. This is
Hey,
Don from Don and Gary doing 60.
and that would make me Gary.
Yeah, and that'd make me Don. Gary, as co-executive producer of the show, we did discuss whether or not we should air this episode because of the glitch at the end, the technical glitch that happens at the end with Elena.
Exactly. But that's out of our control. The great thing is that the bulk of the interview is good,
Intact.
intact.
Yes.
It's the last couple minutes that we lost.
Yeah. Unfortunately, she disappears at the last 5 minutes of the episode. And if you wanted, we could rant for 5 minutes about us just talking to her without having any dialogue. That's kind of funny too, but we cut it out.
Was it the
So,
part where she was praising us and telling us how
yes.
beautiful and friendly
Yes.
and amazing we are?
Yes. So,
Because I could do that. So, but yeah, no, it was a bummer. But it was a fun union for the three of us
yes.
because you haven't seen or talked to her in years. I
No.
haven't seen or talked to her in years, even though we're all
No.
connected on Facebook. But
Yes.
it was a special episode for me, even though all of them are special. But this one had, because both of us are tied into her, was great.
Yes. So we just want to let you know, our amazing fans, that there is a rough cut at the very end where we go right from talking to her to our ending segment. So don't be alarmed.
It's like you're Thelma, I'm Louise, and we just drove off a cliff.
We just drove off the cliff. So, as we will again, time and time
This ain't
again.
our first cliff.
Heidi ho, Gary. How are
Hey,
you?
Don, how are you?
Good. You look good.
Well, I just came out of the shower, and I shaved. So,
Ah, I just did my Brazilian blowout. Took it out of the dishwasher, shook it twice, and put it on top of my head. I'm ready to go. How you feeling?
I was just telling you that this cold or cough that I caught 2 weeks ago is still with me.
Wow.
The residual, and I don't have allergies, and there's nothing in the air that's impacting me. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. I've had it for a long time too. It was allergies for me, and it was of course residual from the fires that are finally under control a bit, which is nice.
Yeah.
Maybe we're just getting older.
Who knows? I know that other people that have gotten sick, it's kind of lingering on longer than normal.
Yeah.
And early on, I did take a home COVID test just to make sure, and it was negative. So,
Of course.
and because I work from home, I'm indoors and by myself a lot. So it's not like I'm out in in the crowds.
Maybe you need to dust.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Well, I mean, no, because I remember your house has those tall columns that separate rooms. They could
Yes.
be pretty dusty. I'm not saying that they are. I'm sure you're very clean and very meticulous about these
Well,
kinds of things.
like a lot of us, I could be cleaner.
Because I mean, dust affects me. Whenever I go into that new bathroom we just finished, I sneeze for some reason. So there's something in there that. Wait, have we turned into those old guys that just kvetch about all our maladies now?
Sure, why not? That sounds.
Okay. So what are we talking about this week?
Well, let's start with our intro that we haven't technically done yet,
Okay.
which is this is Don and Gary doing 60.
Right.
And I will actually wrote it down this time. We're here to unwrap and unpack navigating the world at this age,
Oh, good for you. Good.
which in our case is over 60. We do have a special guest joining us in a few minutes, and we'll talk about that. I'm very excited about her coming on. But I want to check in since we last spoke. How was your week? What have you been up to? Tell me the highlights.
Not much to highlight, honestly. We had a house guest for a week or so. My husband's in-laws were here with their daughter, so they actually stayed with us for a few nights. Then went down to Palm Springs and spent the rest of the week. Came back, took off on a plane, and they're gone again. So no more house
Okay.
guests. Yeah, so it was
Nice.
fine. Work's work. Meh.
Did you all go down to Palm Springs or just them?
No, just them.
Okay.
And then, of course, everyone that comes to here thinks that we live next door to LA, which we do not. We are not Angelinos. We are South Bay people. So, of course, they want to do all of the South Bay things, which include going to the Hollywood sign, Griffith Park, Rodeo Drive, which is, come on. It's not all that. So let them do that. Go take your road trip. Unfortunately, a lot of it was closed off due to the past fires, so you
Right.
couldn't go to the Getty. Both Gettys are closed right now. It was fine.
Well-
It was fine. It was great to see them. We had a wonderful time. Great, wonderful house guests. They're wonderful. We love them very much.
Well, You know me, I'm not one to brag or name drop.
Yeah, okay.
But yesterday, I was invited to a meeting. Our new mayor of San Francisco asked to meet with the program director from the fire department that runs the volunteer program that I've been a part of, called NERT, Neighborhood Emergency Response Team. And so he said, hey, he's coming at Friday, 2 o'clock. Do you want to join us? I said, sure. I'm thinking we're going to be sitting in a room, 3-4 people, chatting with the mayor. Mm-hmm. It turned into a media extravaganza. Really? The new fire chief was there, plus his full command staff. Woman who is the director for the Department of Emergency Management. They're like the top dogs when it comes to any disasters or any big events in San Francisco. She was there. Media was there. So when the mayor pulled up, it was myself and another volunteer in our uniforms, surrounded by a bunch of fire chiefs, all in their uniforms. Huh. You would have thought we were at either some sort of graduation celebratory celebration ceremony, or a funeral for someone, because it was like full on, everyone with their suits and the hats and the badges, and so we did have a presentation to the mayor, and then we took him outside and did a couple like hands-on demonstrations of drills. So I worked with him on putting out a small fire. Okay. So I posted on this morning on Instagram and Facebook some of the images from that. So it was kind of fun, just hanging out with the fire chief and the mayor.
You're hobnobbing and knob-hobbing. You are.
What can I say?
You're hobnob and knobber.
Yeah, so it was fun. But other than that, it's just been, work as usual and working from home, which has been great since I don't have to commute anymore. Staying inside, I don't know about down there, but up here it has been, granted it is winter, so one would expect it to be, chillier.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what the heck's going on. I sit on my sofa, like covered in a blanket with a space heater. And then if I'm in the car, I put my hands up to the air vents so really? I can, warm up. What's become of me? Oh, maybe because I've lost weight, I've lost some of my insulation.
It could be. It could actually very well be that. You know what I mean? So let's do this. Let's take a real quick break.
Yes.
And come back because I want to pick up this conversation before our guest joins us. Okay.
Okay.
And we're back. And as Gary said before, we're here to unwrap and unpack navigating the world at this age. Don't forget, you can find us on Apple Podcasts and Spot. You can add that completely.
It's easy for you to say.
Well, not. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever amazing podcasts are found. We're on Instagram at Don and Gary Doing 60 and on YouTube at Don and Gary Doing 60 under Pfeiffer Pod. Don't forget that. We'd like you to like and subscribe. So thanks, Gary. I'm sorry, I just had to put that in there real quick.
No,
Let's
of course.
go back to what's going on. You had a milestone again, didn't you?
So I didn't tell you or our viewers and audience members at the last time we recorded was that we recorded on Sunday. Well, the day before, I did my usual weigh-in and, so on. I hit the 40-pound loss mark.
That is amazing.
Which amazing. I was hoping it would have happened in December at the 6-month mark, but, it's the holidays and...
You're doing it safely. You're doing it wisely. You're doing it with a lot of education, again. Yeah. So congratulations.
Yeah, so it felt good to oh my God, I'm at the 40-pound, mark. So
how do you feel about it?
Well, I was very excited. I mean,
it's
because
emotional a little bit, right?
What's that?
Is it emotional at all for you? I mean, or just a good feeling?
Yeah, I think just a good feeling. It's kind of like a little bit of, literally and figuratively, some weight has been dropped off your shoulder. Just because, last year this time, when I'm at the gym regularly and I'm, when I'm trying to eat well, healthy, and do my workouts, and I wasn't seeing any progress. And it just felt very deflating. Why am I doing all this? I'm not seeing any results. It was just frustrating. So then skip ahead, have the Ozempic conversation, start on that. And then I've been keeping track of the journey. And December was the only month where I didn't lose weight. But then I said, you know what? It was the holidays. You're not on your regular schedule of eating and, you're going to a lot of social events where there's, more snacky type things. So maybe wouldn't be my first choice to have a couple sliders, right? As opposed to, a protein and some roasted veggies.
Could you take the bun off the slider and just call it a protein? And
Honey, I never take the bun off. No. The bun is where it's at.
Then that's the title of this episode. The bun is where it's at.
You haven't lived till you've had a bun. But no. So you obviously just moderation and, try and be good.
Yes, but I mean, that's a good thing. And again, like I said, you're doing it the wise way. I think we're going to make another episode out of Ozempic in general because we'll go down this road another time. But there's a lot of advertising now for GLP-1s.
Yeah.
So we'll go down there again, but you're doing it the right way. Congratulations. You bought some new clothes, right?
I did. Well, because all the clothes I had were very baggy. And then, So I took inventory. I started with pants first. And I looked at them, and the waist sizes were like all too big. And I'd put them on, and I'd put the belt on and to the tightest.
All the way.
And it's like, God, these are so baggy. There's so much fabric here. So I said, I'm not going to go overboard, but I did buy about 4 new pair of pants and a couple sweaters.
Lovely.
And so, yeah, it just felt good to when I put it on, it's like, oh, wow, this because the other pants, I mean, without a belt, they will just fall off, and we can't have that happening.
We don't want that. I got to stop you for 1 second. Someone's scratching at my door. I got to let him in, okay? It's not my husband.
Who's the mystery guest?
It's Rocket.
Hey, Rocket.
It's Rocket, and he was scratching at my door. So yeah. So sorry, third guest. He'll just be a quiet part of the guest thing. So
yeah. And how many other guests? None of the other guests have licked you.
Well, not for free.
Right.
I haven't paid them either. So
right. Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Back to this. I didn't mean to interrupt with that.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. So I'm so happy for you. But it's fun to go out and buy new stuff, right?
For sure. Yeah. Because the first time I went to the store, as soon as I walk in, there's a table with some pants laid out. I'm like, oh, I like that one. Mm-hmm. I'm like, God, but what size am I going to wear? I guessed. Like, well, let me try this one. Just
sure.
See,
well, everything fits differently too. Nothing's sized the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and actually, the first one I tried on was like, okay, I'll take it in the blue and the green. Yeah. So So it was fun, and I'll just kind of hold off on that. I have a whole big stack of pants on a chair over there that have already been laundered. Ones that are in my closet in the drawers that I'm going to donate. And then I'll do the same thing with, shirts and sweaters and things. And I got a ton of shoes that, I can still wear them because the weight loss doesn't make a difference. But I don't know about you, but I've got way too many shoes.
Yeah, I got way too many everything, actually. I've got shirts, sweaters, jackets, stuff I got to go through. It might be time to do some spring cleaning myself.
Yeah.
And I think, I wouldn't beat myself up about jumping onto the exercise wheel again because I literally have not jumped onto my rower for a while now because it's just house guests, things to do, getting through the renovation, all these excuses that I've been using.
Yeah, you've had a lot of projects and things going on.
I feel like, sorry, he's licking places he shouldn't be.
Don, please. It's a family show, isn't it?
But it's like I've been not as an excuse, but it's just definitely been distracting to not get back into the routine that I want to get back into. So so what? January's over almost. We'll start in February.
Exactly.
You can never stop starting. Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Okay, we'll go with that.
Looking at the clock, our guest will be joining us in a minute, but I'm going to throw in real quick. Another thing I decided I need to pick up a project that I left off last year.
Okay.
Was updating my living trust.
We're doing the same thing.
I initially did it back in 2011. I pulled everything out, went through all the paperwork, made some notes, need to make some changes. But that's one of those things that should be on our list if we haven't done it already is,
One of the realities of life at this age is that you need to have all your business in order. Right. All your business together. And it's not a horrible process, actually. We're using a LegalZoom type of product that actually makes it very simple to coordinate and everything. But it's like all that's one of the things where you're like, oh my gosh, assets. How much money do you want when you retire? There's all these questions to start asking. And I'm actually switching over my financial advisors for someone who my family and I used in San Mateo for 100 years. Speaking of, Draeger's is closing.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, for those who know, Draeger's is a high-end grocery store. But they had like a cooking school upstairs and other things going on, and a restaurant.
You went to the cooking school, didn't you?
I did. Someone that we went to high school with taught cooking classes there, so I did go to one about 2 years ago. They, like a lot of businesses, kind of went dark during the pandemic, reopened, and things just never really came back. The cooking school, I don't think they started up again. The restaurant, I don't know if it ever reopened. But, I mean, admittedly, I never shopped there because the prices were super expensive. But they were there for years. So, yeah.
Who's that?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
Was I supposed to do that?
Yes.
I wasn't
Yes.
sure if I was supposed to click on it or what.
You are right on time. Oh, my
Gosh, I
God.
don't know what I'm doing.
I
I wasn't even listening in. I was just like, I got your detailed instructions from the FBI on how to get in here.
And you passed all the security clearances and you're here.
Good. I'm
Gosh.
so glad.
I can't tell you how excited I am that you are joining us.
Amazing. It's amazing.
It's been years since
Oh.
we've seen each other, but oh my God, I'm over
I
the
didn't
moon.
even know that you guys were still in touch. I mean, did you get in touch later or have you been in touch since we were kids?
We never
Since
stop
we were
being
kids.
in touch.
Wait. What was the answer?
That we never stopped being in touch.
You never stopped being in touch.
Well,
Wow.
So
Kind of,
let me
yes
let me
and no.
back up because we're on YouTube, but we're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So for the listeners,
Yep.
we've been joined by a special guest. It's the first guest that has joined us on either podcast that I'm related to.
That's cool because
Right?
I know you have a big family.
We're a big family. We got a lot of Mexicans. But this is my cousin, Elena Calderon Cooke, who, and for those who followed us on 3P's podcast and on this one, your family has come up a couple times in our stories as we explain to our listeners and viewers how Dawn and I met. Because we didn't
Wow.
go to the same elementary or middle school. We didn't meet up until high school. But because your two families were next door neighbors, and when I would go over to your house to visit, my mom would visit with your mom, and I'd come and play with you guys, you and your siblings, would be the next door neighbor kid who would be over once in a while. So we kind of met each other, but then in high school, we're like, wait a minute, you live where? And
The same high school?
yeah, Aragon.
But didn't we all go to Hillsdale? And then, I mean, I went to Aragon after, for the last 3 years. But
Well,
Donnie,
yeah.
didn't you go to Hillsdale?
No, I went
Obviously
to...
you didn't.
No, it's okay. But no,
Okay.
it's just one of those weird things, Elena, because it's like, we all have some kind of weird kismet connection. But because I vaguely remember Gary when I was staying at your house
Yeah.
with Angie and you. And it's just wild.
Because I think we mostly went over to his house, when we all got together. And all those pictures you sent, those are all at your house, right, Gary?
Yeah.
Aren't they? Yeah.
The 3 pictures of birthdays that were at my house. Last night I sent images, photos to Dawn and Elena when she and I were kids. So there's one we're 7 years old at some party in the East Bay. The other 2 are birthday parties at my house. And the last one, I guess, did we work at Macy's together for a short
Oh my God,
time?
we did.
Because
We
there was
did.
some kind of holiday party or costume party, and that
It was a
photo
costume party.
You and I happen to be dressed in 50s gear, and so there's a
That's
picture of us
wild.
together.
I have not even given that a thought since that picture. That's wild.
And so
My gosh.
the photo of us at Macy's, I left Macy's when I was 26. So it means I was 24, 25 in that photo.
I know I was there when I was 22. I remember for a year, I think. Not long. Oh, that is crazy. That is a great picture. And you looked oh my God, I don't know. You look so 1950s. Really, that's a really good picture.
That's before all my gray hair kicked in.
Wow. I just didn't even remember these pictures. That's amazing.
I had them in my archives.
I
I
love
knew.
it.
And when you agreed to say, yeah, I'll come on the podcast,
My
I
gosh,
have
that's
to find
wild.
these photos. I knew they existed. So I'm so glad I found them.
Well,
so
okay.
I'm so glad too. Gosh.
So when do you think the last time the two of you saw each other?
Maybe the Macy's party?
Yeah.
Because I left California when I was, Holly, you said you were how old when you worked at Macy's, Gary?
I left Macy's when I was 26.
Well, I was 25 when I left California. So that was it might have been the last time I saw you.
So you moved to the East Coast in your 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And was
Yep.
it for school, for work? What was
It
the...
was sort of for, I was in, I don't know if you knew, I lived in Anchorage, Alaska. I went to Anchorage first.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I went to Anchorage first for a year. It was a wonderful, wonderful time. It was an incredible experience. I met my husband through a conference. I worked for the American Heart Association in Anchorage. And we met at a conference in New Orleans that summer. And then the following year, I moved out here. He was here in Delaware. And so we got together, we got married. I was married for 10 years, had a couple of kids, 2 girls, and then divorced and remarried pretty fairly quickly after the first marriage. And then I've been married for 23 years now, and I'm still here in Delaware. So
Wow.
I know. Did you know that I went to Alaska?
I
You
did know
probably
the
don't
Alaska
remember
part.
that.
I only knew
Okay.
Delaware because of your posts on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like a lot of things, like, well, when Don and I graduated high school, I went away for 2 years, and then he ended up moving for work and things to different states. So there was a couple years where we didn't connect because there was no cell phone, no
Yes, that's
You know,
right.
I believe there was a time when there was no cell phones.
no
Hard to
easy way to
imagine.
connect. But at some point, he moved back to California. He and I reconnected, and
Well, so you did sort of, because of work, sort of disconnect and then reconnect later.
right.
Donnie, how long were you away for?
Which time? It's like I
Okay,
moved
back and forth, yeah.
Yeah, because I moved. It was like I moved to New York for a little while. I moved to Chicago for a little while. I lived in L.A. a few times, back and forth, and then somehow I don't even remember.
I think I
where-
remember you in New York.
Really.
I think I remember seeing something and thinking, oh my
Okay.
gosh, she's over
My
here.
mom probably whatever.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we haven't seen each other or spoken to each other for even longer than Gary and
Long
you have.
time.
So it's amazing. It's so good to see you. It's so nice that we're
So good to
connecting
see
like
you
this.
both.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's-
God. I'm just so
I see
glad
your
you're still in
posts.
touch.
Yeah, well, it's something you can't shake sometimes. It's like, I've tried. I've moved away a number of times, but he still finds me, or
I'm the
find him.
gum on his shoe. He just can't get rid of me.
Well, it's kind of like you said, Donnie, like the, what did you say, call it a kismet? Like
Kismet. Yeah,
something.
I mean, it just happened.
Yes.
And the fact that all 3 of us are speaking now because we had literally
Well-
like a couple of places where we all lived. That
Well,
were
the
so
really
close.
weird thing too is, Donnie, there's more to that story because here lately in the last recent years, I don't know if you remember any of this, but here lately in the last few years, there's been sort of discussions that have come up about rats for different reasons. And I always go back to the same story that is about you and our pet rats. Okay, because first of all, there was Pizza Rat. Do you remember Pizza Rat from New York
Yes.
City?
Yes.
Okay, so I was recently I was showing somebody the video. I said, don't you remember Pizza Rat? And then I have to go on and tell them my story about how I had a pet rat. And then my neighbor, Donnie, gave me his rat. Like I adopted your rat. And my rat was white, yours was black. And you rehomed
I
it
forgot
to
about
me.
that.
And then recently something else came up. I mean, it's come up like a few times, not too long ago. And I always retell my rat story. People can't believe that I had a pet rat, 2 rats now. My one aunt, who was, Adriel's wife, Tia Chita, she would come over and go, ew, yuck, look at those rats. Ew, yeah. And I thought, oh, God, go away. Please go away, you hateful woman. I love her now, though, but she was so hateful then. Oh, my gosh, I love them very much. Yeah, so, yes, the rat story has come up quite a bit. And now here you are,
Yeah,
the one
the
who
rats.
gave me one of my beloved rats.
I completely forgot.
Do you remember? Yes, so you guys graduated the same year.
We graduated in 80.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Because I'm much younger
you
than
guys-
Gary is. And
Yeah,
none of you
a
realize
month
that.
early, a month younger.
Yeah.
So we're a year apart then, right? Because I'm 63. And you
Right.
guys are, I know,
Gary's
Gary, you're
60.
62.
And
Yes.
I'm 47, so...
Okay,
I
so
don't
here's
know.
something else if I can just touch on the rats one last time. I'm sorry. The last podcast, Donnie, you mentioned something about a rat sign to your guest.
Sign?
Signs about, yes.
Stupid me. I was thinking, yes. So you're right. You're right.
Something about a sign.
Yes, it's an exterminator that's in San Mateo. It used to be. That had a big rat on top of it. A guy looking at a rat. Yes. So yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. I was wrong.
My goodness. This
Wow,
is so much fun.
crazy.
So
Yeah, and do you mind, does anybody else call you Donnie, or am I the only one? now?
No, I mean, family does. It's like...
They
it's
still
fine.
do?
Please
Okay.
do. I mean, I prefer it, but nobody really calls me that because I guess I don't look like a Donnie.
Because I always say Frankie. I mean, I can't get away from Frankie ever. I mean, it's just
Right.
Frankie.
Oh yeah, my brother
You know?
Frankie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
still Frankie.
He's
I mean,
still
I don't call him
Frankie?
Frankie, but yeah. I mean, yes. Some of our relatives, still when they see
They
him,
still
like,
do?
Frankie?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. That's
Yeah.
good.
I
That's
never
good
got
to
into
know.
that. I just called him Frank. So whatever. But so I want to talk about. So you've been in Delaware many years.
Since 1987.
You have 2 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
You're a nurse, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow. I'm just, of course, just from all your posts, which I love all your posts.
I
all
didn't
the
do as
family
much
stuff you
nursing
do.
posts, but
No, just your family stuff, and then
Yes.
you'll talk about it.
yes. So you've seen my, the book, Nicolette and Angela. Yeah, Nicolette's still in San Diego though. She's right there with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been there for about. She moved. She was living in New York City. She went to Hunter College, and then she moved for a job in San Diego with one of her high school friends. Went to San Diego State, and then he stayed there, and he had a job for her. So she moved from New York to San Diego.
Wow.
So now she's a California hippie. And we're over here, and my other daughter's they're very much the opposite. Angela lives nearby. But yeah, Nicolette's a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine there in San Diego. Yeah, I know. So different. Yeah, interesting, right? And I think that I'm the only nurse in all our families. I don't know anybody else who is. So
yeah, in my family, we have a doctor and a nurse. Yeah, one of my nephews, he's a doctor in Southern California. One of my nieces is a nurse up here in the Bay Area. So yeah.
Well, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, I mean, the whole medical field during COVID was overwhelmed and understaffed. I mean, just everything.
Yeah.
How was that for you? What was your experience?
Yeah, it was more like the fear of the unknown was the biggest thing. People had different levels of anxiety about it at work. A couple of people had to leave. There was one of the aides that we had. She couldn't handle it. The anxiety, and then she just recently came back, and she's a complete different person, just calm and everything. But like for me, once I got COVID, I got it right away. I was like, there was no way around it. I got it right away, even though I was like in a spacesuit. COVID does whatever it wants to do, no matter what you're doing. So it just goes where it wants to go. But once I got it the first time, then I was good because I have asthma, and I was afraid that it would affect me in a really bad way, and it didn't at all. I mean, I just had a tiny little annoying little cough, and it was just more like a really bad cold, and just like really sleepy, really tired a lot. But I was off for like 3 weeks, and then went back to work. So, but then I was like, okay, this is probably the worst that's gonna happen. So, and then I was good after that, and I didn't get it again until I got it a second time. And it was the same thing, bad cold, just tired. Like, I think I got it again 2 years later, maybe. So,
but yeah. I mean, this is your career, this is your job, and to go through that, and as you said, it's the fear of the unknown. None of us had ever gone through anything like that, and then it just kept going and going and going.
Yeah. I guess I'm so over it. I get so angry still. We just had somebody with COVID here and there, just last like 1 or 2 weeks ago, and it's just like, stop already. And the people that have it now don't even hardly have any symptoms anymore, but they just test positive. And then they have to isolate them for like 10 days. And they have to do the whole suiting up before you go in their room and all that still. Oh my gosh.
It's still like that though, Elena, because you would think that it's less virulent now that
it is less virulent. But they still isolate these poor people.
Really?
Yeah, but I work at a nursing home, so their people are very sick and very vulnerable.
You've been a nurse for how long?
16, almost 17 years now.
And so,
yeah,
since this podcast is about being 60 and older,
allegedly,
do you think about the future, like how much longer you want to work? Do you still enjoy it?
Yeah, because this was like a second later in life career for me. I was a property manager before. I was 47, I think it was, when I graduated with my nursing degree. So it was like a late, but I wasn't the only one. There are lots of people that go to school in their 40s and even later now too. So, so this is like my second career. Yeah, I'm good to go right to full retirement, which is 67, right?
Okay, yeah.
And maybe
that's kind of what I'm
beyond.
shooting for, the same as 67, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something we always ask Elena because, people are at different parts of phases of their lives. They decide their priorities shift. And sometimes, if work is not gratifying or rewarding, sometimes we'll take an early retirement or talk about dropping off. But if this is still fulfilling for you and you enjoy it and you're doing good, there's nothing wrong with working way past that. Because just because the government says 67 is the number doesn't mean that it has to be the number that you take. And also, I love the reinvention thing because a number of us have reinvented our careers a number of times and changed midstream and even later in midstream, whatever that number is too. So,
right. Yeah. I mean, I with nursing, it's like a love-hate thing. So like sometimes you'll have weeks when you say, I just can't imagine doing this for 4 more years. And then you just, you go. And then when you get there, you're glad you went through it, and at the end of the day, you're tired. You feel sort of beat up, but then you also feel like very much rewarded. It's a rewarding thing to do. So, it's both. So, and I think too, like with nurses, I think a lot depends on your health. Like if you're sort of not like, especially there's a lot of smokers. There's a lot of nurses that smoke, and their health may not be so great, and they just need to. So I think sometimes they end up giving it up earlier than they thought they would because they're not so healthy.
That love-hate relationship you talk about nursing is this way I feel about podcasting with Gary. There's a love-hate thing. Some days it's great. Some days I come out beat up. I never want to do it again. And then, Gary's,
Did you ever watch that show called Botched? About the plastic surgeons. Well, you remind me of the two of them.
Well, he's the one that's had the work done. I haven't.
Shut
I'm on
up.
that
You're not supposed to say that on...
Sorry.
Wait.
It's great. It's great. I think you guys are kinder to each other than those two plastic surgeons are.
Yes.
It's just too much. They're just
once
too
we
much.
hit the record button, it's a whole different show, believe me.
Right. Well, as long as Don keeps the checks coming, I'm good.
But Donnie, you're living down south, aren't you?
Over in Redondo Beach. I'm over down in the Bay Area. I left about 6 years ago now from
Is that
San
near
Francisco.
LA?
Yeah, it's down south. It's like maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes south of LA. I live at the beach. So it's like something I was just telling Gary earlier. We had our in-laws were staying here with us and they said, "Oh, you live in LA? Let's go to Rodeo Drive." It's like, absolutely not. I will not go to Rodeo Drive. I'm not going to the Hollywood sign. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's kind of the same thing when people visit you, right? I mean, don't they want to go to Rehoboth?
Yes, but you got to come visit me. Rehoboth is amazing.
No, I mean, the thing is, like, I think reinvention is not uncommon for people our age because, although Gary, has had a really good stint with his gig, he's had the same job for, Gary, how many years?
I've only been working for my boss for 36 years.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's great, though.
Yeah.
That's
When I left
great.
I left Macy's at 26, and I started this job, and here I am, 36 years later.
That's so lucky that you didn't have to move around to different places and find somewhere, different places to land.
Yeah.
You found somewhere that was like worthwhile to stay at. That's great.
And they've been good to you. It's fulfilling. You enjoy your job. You're doing a good work. And I mean, there's a lot of things. So, there's no cookie cutter way to do it. I mean, some people keep their jobs a very long time, and some of us reinvent and reinvent and reinvent. So.
Yeah, and I think if you just get past the number thing, the age number, then you can just keep it rolling. That's I tell people, I ride my bike all year round. It's it's pretty cold. Actually, today feels warm because it's 8.
Ooh.
Wow.
I do ride my bike in 28-degree weather, and people say, "Oh my God, you're doing that!" And I'm like, you know what? If you just don't think about the age that you are, and just do what you want to do, and just do it until you can do it, and I mean, just do it as long as you can, and as long as you're feeling good, like there's no reason not to. Don't have anything that's going to stop me from riding my bike in the winter because I don't have any like serious health issues, I guess, and I don't feel winded or whatever when I'm riding, so there's nothing to stop me. So
that's something to never take for granted is good health, and to have it as we get older. I mean, that's what we have to maintain and keep doing things, and I mean, it's so important, and people sometimes forget.
It just goes right to your quality of living, especially as you get older. And this morning I went to an ice skating class with my husband's 2 grandsons, and it does cross my mind, if I fall, I could actually break a hip.
But you were on the ice.
Yeah, I was skating with it. Yeah, and so you got to think about that. I mean, you got to be realistic, especially with women. We tend to have more osteoporosis and stuff. So I do wear wrist guards because I broke both of my wrists a couple years ago, and ice skating.
Oh.
And then I ordered these. Even the good skaters wear these little shorts that have pads all around. So I'm going to start using them. Of
course.
And I don't want to be out of work with a hip either. I just want to. I don't want out of anything.
Right, because we have to remind ourselves that we can't do everything at 60 that we did in our 20s and 30s, right?
Right.
We can maybe still do it, but maybe not as well, not as fast.
Yeah, it's good to be realistic about it.
Yeah. From your comments, it sounds like it's one of the questions we ask was turning a certain age difficult, whether it was from turning 39 to 40 or 59 to 60, whatever. Was there ever one age that's like, I'm dreading this one. This one's going to hurt?
Not terribly, not terribly, because as long as I thought that I was maintaining myself to the point where I could just do everything that I really wanted to do and feel good about it, then it didn't stress me too much. I just had to I just put that out of my mind. More now, more so recently. Like if I tell people how old I am, I'm more concerned about their reaction than my own reaction to my age. They can start seeing, especially if you're over 60. It's like, oh, wait, you're in your 60s. Like in there, you can see them in their mind, like thinking, wait a minute, could be like a grandparent here, kind of thing. So that's kind of like interesting to see how other people react when you say you're in your 60s.
But you must get a lot of reactions of like, they would never have guessed 60. They would have guessed late 40s, early 50s.
Sometimes, especially when I say I'm bike riding in 28-degree weather, and most of my friends, well, almost all of my friends don't do that, and most of my friends in their 20s and 30s don't either. So that's why I just tell everyone, and even my young friends, like just don't think about the number. Just keep it rolling and keep doing what you like to do and what you feel good doing, physically good doing.
So you mentioned, and you admitted this, so I'm not spreading any secrets, that you said you're 63. That's how old you are. How old do you feel?
Oh boy, gosh, I guess 30s. I feel. I mean, I don't feel much different.
Yeah.
And you probably notice, Gary, the more you lose, like when you're in your weight loss journey, every little bit that you lose, you start feeling better and more flexible, and you can just move better and do better. So,
yeah. Well, I posted recently, and Don and I were just having this conversation before he came on, that last week I hit the 40-pound mark of
I saw that.
40
that
pounds.
is so amazing.
It's like I just like pat myself on the back because it's
oh my God,
because I'm doing it all by myself.
I know.
Obviously under doctors' care and guidance and all that, and but just following the rules and trying to be disciplined, and don't feel bad if you like December was the only month that I didn't lose weight. Every other month since I started, I've lost weight, whether it's 3 pounds or 9 pounds, whatever. In the month I'm tracking all that, and December was the one month, but that's also the month that was. It's not my regular schedule, not my regular routine, more socializing, not able to eat when I want, what I want, and so on. So it threw me off. But I decided, I just kind of wiped the slate clean. And then January came, and I'm like, all right, let's keep going.
That's great that you get motivated in January, like more motivated. But what about working from home now? Has that affected that in any way?
In the sense that I have more time. Right, because I was driving from San Francisco across the Golden Gate Bridge to San Rafael. So my morning commute was about 45 minutes. The drive home could be an hour or longer depending on traffic. I live near the Bay Bridge. I live near the baseball stadium. So if there's a tie-up on the bridge or a night game, all that throws off my commute. So I've gained the time. Now my commute is from my bedroom to my dining room.
It's amazing.
I don't feel isolated because I've always been in a kind of my own office working, just on my own, pretty independently. Never been part of like a big team where we're all getting together for a big meeting.
Great.
So
you didn't have to make that big transition from a lot of people to working alone.
Right. I understand like during COVID, and a lot of people started working from home, they felt that isolation because, I miss my team. Right. So for me, the transition was easy, whether it was during COVID when I worked from home for about a year and a half. Yeah, exactly. So the transition's been good for me. And like you, I'm thinking ahead. I've already had a couple times a conversation with my boss about how much longer I plan to work. And so I'm 62 now. I'm looking at targeting 67.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then after that, I can still, because I do a lot of volunteer work. So I can continue to do that, which are things that I enjoy doing. But living in the Bay Area, it's not cheap. So that's one thing that's kind of in the back of my mind is like, how is that going to play out? Yes, I'll have Social Security, we hope. Yes, I have some Ks set aside for retirement, but still, it's just kind of the unknown, right? You don't know how it's all going to work.
Oh, I hope it works because, God, who wouldn't? That would be my ultimate dream, like to live right in San Francisco. Like, who wouldn't want to do that,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's just so amazing.
Yeah, we have a new mayor that started. He was elected in November and got sworn in January. I was bragging to Don that I got to meet with him yesterday at a meeting with the fire department. Yes.
You did not.
Yes, you'll see my post. I demonstrated, and he used it as well, a fire extinguisher.
On you?
What?
Not on me, on a small fire.
Sorry.
He extinguished him.
I've always, enjoyed doing that. And so that's kind of when my career, my work, real work, paying work stops. I have these other things to kind of keep me engaged.
Gosh, yes,
and
absolutely.
And moving.
You could do that.
It's incredibly vital and crucial for us as we age to stay involved with community, stay involved with going out, because I've read so many stories about isolation and people who are feeling alone. Gary, you've always done that. I mean, you've done that for years now with this thing. So you've created quite a community outside of work that is really supportive. And I mean, who knows, you could maybe reinvent again and find some niche working in the community supporting the way you do now.
Keep engaged. And also, as you said in past podcasts, keep moving. Like, Elena, you're bike riding,
Yeah.
In 28-degree weather. The
Right.
rest of us would be like, put on the fire and what's on TV, because I'm not going outside.
I do wear the right gear for outside
Yeah,
exercise.
for
so
sure, yeah.
I'm not really out there suffering in the cold, per se.
And we're lucky too, because we walked to the beach this morning. It's like 20 minutes away, but we tend to get out of the house a lot during days off, and even afterwards. Like, walking is a crucial thing. Why not walk to the beach? Why wouldn't you? And
How far do you have to walk? How far are you from the beach?
It's like a mile and a half, maybe 2 miles.
Oh my God!
To your point, like bike riding, walking, exercise.
Yeah,
all
and then
these
we're doing
things
the
to
ice.
keep
Now we
us-
do the ice skating on Saturday.
But I mean, it's great that we all continue to do those things, because you don't want to get sedentary in any way. I was going to ask you too, because did you have you experienced any kind of ageism? And I asked this question because I'll preface it. I too was a property manager in San Francisco when I left here from the city for a while. And when I came down here looking for a job, guess what? I couldn't get one. And what I think one of the reasons could have been was that, unless you have some amazing connection, sometimes after a certain age, if you're filing for jobs electronically, you're immediately disqualified because of the year you graduated college or high school, or because they don't want to hire someone who's over 50. So my question is, did you experience any kind of ageism coming in when you did into nursing?
I didn't.
People
I did not.
certain.
I did not directly, and I haven't seen that too much in nursing. But my husband just experienced it. He retired right at 62. He's a retired cop. He retired when he was 42, but then he retired from, he had a pension from the police department, and then he went on to be a park ranger for the next 20. Then he retired for good at 62, and he's 72. So he just tried to get a job at Lowe's, just part-time. And they were pretty nice, and he just wanted to do here and there just to get out of the house. The very next day after he got home from the interview, they sent him a little thing that said that he wasn't, picked. And I'm wondering, it felt like ageism. It did, even though he's in good condition too and can lift 50 pounds. That sounded funny to me. It just felt like there was ageism involved there.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'm sorry to hear that, but also it's one of the realities of this, this world is that there's so many assumptions because of a number on someone. And I'm sure your husband's very vital. He's very healthy. He does his thing. He wants to find some work to occupy some time, make a couple of pocket change or whatever.
Right, exactly. All of that.
And it's interesting how sometimes they close the door to you.
I thought it was ageism because they have a big giant sign out on Route 1, the main route there in Rehoboth, that says they're hiring. They're really actively hiring a lot of people now for the spring, the upcoming big busy season. They got this little thing, and so I'm like, oh gosh.
I think what sometimes employers forget, that people who have had experience are actually on time. They don't call out sick. They actually have a good work attitude. They want to do a good job. There's a lot of things that come with being a little bit older and bringing the experience that you do have. You're probably great and patient with people. There's so many attributes that you come with experience that I think employers tend to forget. So
I
who
agree
knows what the answer
completely.
was?
Yeah, I agree completely. I agree. I think you got. Oh, and I think it's partly because we have so many different age groups in nursing. Just the whole gamut,
Yeah.
It just runs from new grad all the way up, and it's a real mix. So I think that we avoid the ageism issue in nursing. I think
Good.
that is good. That is good. I think in nursing, what hurts people the most is their own bad health. Honestly, that takes them out earlier and it makes it harder to do their jobs. They're just out of shape and whatnot.
And Len, can I ask you, so you said you graduated from nursing school at age 47? So what was it from your previous career was there something that happened, or you just felt like you needed a change? You weren't being
I
fulfilled?
think it was driven both by money and by the scheduling, because I was getting Nicolette. Let me see, they weren't in high school yet, or Nicolette was just starting high school. So I was thinking about her future, like in college. And I thought I need to pull in more money that I'm making here as a property manager. Number one, and then number two is I thought the 12-hour shifts were really good for like quality of life. Like I work 3 days a week. It's 12-hour shifts. It's it's a long day, but still just 3 days a week. And that was a big drive too towards that career. And Angela, when she was born, she was a preemie. She, I got a really good feel for the profession from when she was a baby. Just the nurses that took care of her were just like, they were like our angels. And I just was amazed at the work that they did and how good they cared for her. And that always stuck in my mind. Just the nursing field stuck in my mind. So when it came time to make the change, it felt like that was where I would go. So I'm glad I did. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of personal for you, right?
Right.
Because you had that experience.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and it just stuck with me. Didn't do anything about it back then, but over the years, I went through, once I got to the point in my life where I was like, this is the time to make that change. So needed to make it. I'm glad I did. So it worked out.
No, I mean, it just sounds like your life right now is just amazing with your kids, your husband, your career. I mean,
yeah.
Is there anything that you haven't accomplished that maybe is still on your tickle file?
Not professionally and not really personally, but I would say that just in terms of the things that are on my bucket list would be just some points of areas I want to travel to. Mm-hmm. But anything else I have to say, if there's anything that stands out like a burning desire to do something else, I feel very, very much fulfilled and that I've done what I really wanted to do the most. And now I feel like I'm just sort of I'm really enjoying life more. And it isn't just, you hear people say, oh, my kids are grown, so now I can enjoy life. I don't think that's really so much it. I don't know what it is. I think it's just that, and maybe it is part of it. You just have more time for yourself as you get older. Something about it, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it is. You just feel like you're at a stage in your life where don't feel guilty about focusing more on yourself and the things that you enjoy. So yeah, just keep doing that.
So I ask you because we mentioned my brother Frank. So he's a grandfather. His daughter Brittany had a baby girl 16 months ago. Mm-hmm. So
I know,
that was
my
my mom's first great grandchild. One of my other nieces is expecting a baby in June. Do you think about future? Will you have the title of grandmother?
Yeah, well, I don't have my own grandchildren, but Gary's got all these grandchildren that are sort of my bonus grands.
Nice. How many are there?
We have the three. His son has 3 boys, and then his new wife has a daughter. So there's like the step granddaughter, and then Gary's daughter has two kids that are grown. Basically, yeah, they're out of high school and grown.
My gosh, your family's huge.
I know, sort of, yeah, kind of. But Angie's a great grandmother. Angie, my sister, yes.
Yeah. Wow.
She is, because she had her son Miguelito. She had him when she was only 18, and then he had his son when he was pretty young.
Yeah. When
you have your kids, yeah. So then my nephew Miguelito is a grandfather. Yes, he's a grandfather. So Angie is a great grand.
Wow.
Oh my God.
And
That's crazy.
Do you take advantage of any senior discounts?
You bet I do. I love it. Oh gosh, I love it. I love that. I love that so much.
Which ones? What do you do?
Every year there is it's called St. Anthony's Italian Festival up in Wilmington, up north of Delaware, where our biggest city is Wilmington. We go every June. And one year, I guess I'm 63, so it must have been 2 years ago when I was at least 60. We were in line. It's not, the line moves fast anyway, but still, somebody came out and said, "Is anybody over 60? You can go in for free." I was like, "Yes,
yeah.
it's us. Here we come."
And they didn't believe you. They didn't believe you, did they?
Out of my way.
They didn't check our IDs or anything. I'm sure. So I was like, "Come on, then. We'll believe you." Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that. Like the movies, you get your senior rate at the movies. What else? There's a lot of little perks. Sometimes it's only a couple of dollars, but it's still fun.
Every little
really
bit
is.
helps.
It is still fun to get those little
you're
perks.
okay calling it out, because I was in line with my friend in Palm Springs who wanted to go to the Sizzler, and it's like he was in front of me and they were ordering and then they said, "Oh wait, Don, you're a senior." I said, "No, I'm not. I'm not a senior. I don't. Why would I get it?" Like, no.
How old were you?
last year, 62, 61. No.
You were.
Yeah,
Technically,
so I
you
was
were a
definitely
senior.
So what is it? Is it 55 plus usually that's senior?
No,
What is,
no, it
is
used to be they're raising it on everything now. Like now
no.
it's 60 on everything, I think. And sometimes, right. At first, I think that the Italian festival was the first time I ever just openly said, yes, I didn't want the discount because I'm 60. It's like anything. Once you do it the first time, then you're good after that.
Right.
So after
no
that
shame.
initial acceptance, like that initial, I came out, I am over 60. I have to admit that, and I'm happy to do it. And so then after that, it was easy. Like, yes. Yeah, it was easy. So, yeah, that's fun. You know, you can say to people who are afraid to be in their 60s, you can say, listen, you get all these little discounts.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of positive things to come in the future, you know. But yeah, but if you have, I just have to say, if you have bad health and you're not taking care of yourself, being older can be a misery. So I just really, 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 really encourage everyone to be as healthy as you can get. You know, you can't, there's nothing you can do about genetics, of course, but just do the best you can, you know, because my mom had Alzheimer's, you know, Gary. I think you remember that. And I always have that fear, you know, and that's one of the things that drives me so much for, like, the exercise I know helps with, you know, against the Alzheimer's gene. And I'll do all these things, you know, to get away from that genetic component, you know, that's there. So, you know, you can either resign yourself to that, oh, I'll probably have it too, or you can try to push against it and try to fight against it and just do whatever, educate yourself on it and try to get away from that whole genetic disposition towards that. You know, I know that we have heart disease in our family. My dad, you know, died from heart disease, so that's another thing, you know, I try to work around as much as possible. So,
but that was also very generational too, Elena, I think, with our families growing up at the time. And
yes.
If Gary's mom's he's going to outlive all of us.
I know.
How old is your mom now, Gary?
Right now, she's 97, 98 in June.
Yeah. So
My
you
God,
got a good gene in there.
That is just so shocking to me.
I know, right?
I mean, you could have told me she was in her 70s. I would have believed you. I mean, she's another one. She just does what she does, and she doesn't think about her age number, right?
No, never about her age. And she's very happy and realizes, you know, she's lucky to be where she is. And if something were to happen and, you know, that she has no regrets about, you know, anything.
Yeah.
But she's done.
Oh, man, that's incredible.
Did I tell you about the time she tried to run me over in the parking lot?
Did not.
She told Gary to hit the gas. She saw me in the parking lot. Hit the gas. Get him.
Dawn is the thorn in her side.
Oh my gosh.
She's always joking with it.
She's joking. But she did say it.
That is so funny.
Well, she maybe said it. She didn't mean it.
Maybe you said it, Gary. I think it was you.
Maybe he influenced her. She's an angel. Yeah, it had to come from Gary. She would never think that on her own.
Right. Typical.
It sounds like something she would say, though. She's so funny.
Right. Elena, from the work side, do you find yourself giving a lot of advice to the younger nurses that you work with?
I try not to a lot. You know, I don't want them to look at me like I'm a big nag or something.
No. I mean, do they come to you for advice? Do they come to you?
They do a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
They do a little bit, yeah. I don't know. I think, actually, they do a lot now that I think about it. Yeah, and I think, you know, it is, nursing is, you think independently, but you also, in a lot of ways, team players, too. Because you're not completely alone at work. You know, there's always somebody else. So, yeah, they are good about asking about things. And here's one good thing. Also, the other good thing about being in your 60s, in my profession at least, is you can do these sort of like, I'm the wise elder. Let me tell you what I think. And you have, there's like somehow there's more validity to your opinion now. Now you feel like the wise elder, and it's kind of cool. Like, let's listen to what she has to say, you know, kind of thing.
Well, you're constantly learning, right? So you gain more experience. So when the younger ones or newer to the profession come on board, and you can observe something and say, you know what you might want to consider is X. That's just you passing on knowledge and you know, and empowering them.
Yes.
So.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Because I also tell them, you know, it doesn't matter how long you've been a nurse, or even if you're a new or an older nurse. Older nurses make mistakes too. You know, don't just think just because we're in this field and we've got this experience that we are the end all know all. I mean, we make mistakes just like the younger people do, and we're still, in a way, we're still all on one level playing field at work. We're all capable of doing great things and also making mistakes, human mistakes.
It's understandable.
That's
Have
true.
you ever thought of being an instructor or a teacher of some way?
Well, I don't know. It is something that I could think about doing.
With your vast experience, your common sense, your ability to do what you do, I mean, that sounds like
that could be an idea. The only thing that would stand in the way, though, is they want you to have a master's degree to be like a nursing school instructor. That's a huge commitment right there.
True.
And financially too. So I don't know.
Yeah, but you could ride your bike to school. It doesn't matter.
I actually could, and it could be cold out, and I could still do it.
Exactly.
So we talked about giving advice to younger nurses, but one question we ask our guests is, what advice would you give your younger self? And that you could say your 25-year-old self, your 30-year-old self, your 18-year-old self. You pick the age, but looking back, is there advice you would give your younger self about anything?
Advice, I would say, I would tell myself to don't be so hard on yourself. You're just as good as everybody else is. You're just as smart as everyone. You're not less. I would want to be a little more. Tell her, be a little more confident. Don't be so down on yourself.
That's very relatable. I think
say.
a lot of us can say that same thing, right? Is that
right.
We're too hard on ourselves at a certain age, thinking we're the only ones. We're not good enough. We're not smart enough. We're not whatever enough.
Right.
And maybe because we didn't have people lifting us up, encouraging us, maybe you don't have that support system.
Yep. True.
Or you might, but you don't believe in yourself. You don't have that self-confidence, which is you get. I mean, I think I've gotten more confident as I've gotten older.
Yeah. Well, there's something else to look forward to. You get older and you get calmer, I think, as you get older. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't sweat the little things that maybe bothered me before, and it's like, you know what? Just let this one go.
Right.
Right. There's more important things to focus on.
That's a great way to be.
Yeah, appreciate what you have as opposed to, well, I don't have as much money or I don't have this. It's like, yeah, but what do you have? Appreciate that.
I was definitely not that way younger days. I was definitely not that introspective, and I wish I had been. It would have been more enjoyable.
That comes with age and experience. I think everyone goes through that, right? And that we all have our own journeys, and some of us, some will learn that lesson sooner, and some will take longer. I mean, I didn't become maybe a little bit more confident or felt like I had a voice. I mean, I could have been maybe in my 40s or maybe even 50s, right?
Yep.
It just
you
think, oh, I'm 35. No, I probably didn't.
Right.
Yeah. So
well, that's something to really look forward to for everybody who's younger than us. Life does feel better, calmer. You feel like more focused when you're older, and I think that's a great thing to look forward to. It really
also,
is.
when we're younger and we think about someone, like we were kids, we think about our 40-year-old teacher, like, oh my God, he or she's so old, they're 40, right? But then we get older and it's like, but wait a minute, I'm on a more solid foundation now at this age than I was at that age, right? Or more experience, more confidence, more life experience.
Right.
So
and I wish that like Donnie was saying, I wish that the employers would be more aware of these attributes for older people instead of just automatically saying, oh, he's this age, we don't want him to get hurt lifting a box or something. So
and there definitely are companies, I've heard there are companies that look for that and embrace that, but it takes a little homework to find out where those companies are, right? Because they do value someone who has, yes, older but more experience.
So that was wonderful, Gary. I mean, it was amazing. I can't believe how long. I forgot the rat story. I completely.
Oh my God, I was so thrilled to see her because it's been forever. Yeah. And she looks the same. I mean, it's just like as if nothing has changed.
Yeah.
So super happy to have her join us. So it was a lot of fun.
What a wonderful person too. She's not changed. I remember her being so sparkly and bright.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
Wonderful. So are we ready to shut this one down?
I think we are.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us at Don and Gary Doing 60. We hope you enjoyed spending some time and quality with us. Join us next time as we navigate the world at to see. So don't forget that we're found on all the Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Don and Gary on Instagram at Don and Gary Doin 60. Gary, what's our email address? I forgot it.
I believe it is Don and Gary Doin 60 at gmail.com.
Right, and if you want to get a full load of us, all of it, don't forget YouTube at Pfeiffer Pod, Don and Gary Doin 60. So, great. Gary, thank you. We'll talk
Absolutely.
to you next time.
Thank you.
Okay,
This was
so
great.
Talk to you
We
later.
will see you and talk to you all very soon.
Yes. Don't forget to